got to say thank you so much for doing this interview with me because what you folks are part of, I think, is probably one of the most powerful series that has ever been put together, not just in Canada, but North America, period. And the reason why I say that is just from episode one, for me as a person of color, as I told the other folks too, I got emotional, I got angry, and I wanted to learn more. And that had to do with um, your acting skills and the way you portrayed this. I want to say right off the top, thank you so much for being part of this. Ronnie, I'm going to go with you right off the top. For folks who don't know what the porter is, can you please explain? Because each of your parts are very important, but when I talk about the angry part, I think I relate the most to your character.
That's funny.
Mm.
I mean, well, The Porter is a fictional drama that's loosely based on real events, but it follows two porters, a Black Cross nurse, uh, a dancer, singer dancer, sorry, and a female gangster. And I think the one through line in this story is that everybody has this goal that they're trying to attain, but they're all trying to attain it in a different way for different reasons, but it is for the betterment of the people that they care about.
Mhm.
And it's the truth. Olunike, um, the women in this series are on completely different levels. And when I say levels, I mean the one thing they all have in common is strength, but it's all in different varieties and how that strength is used. Can you talk a little bit about that, please? Because we see them in so many different aspects. But again, the one thing that comes together with all this is each female character has their own strength and power.
Hmm. Which is great that you're able to see that. What it is I'm gonna go from my standpoint. Like I've never known black women in my family, ones that I've been around, to not have resilience. And no matter what the time, no matter what the situation, no matter what disasters, it doesn't matter. There's somehow we survive and we overcome. It's just what we do. So it's in our DNA. It doesn't say that we are devoid of vulnerability because we experience other emotions, other characteristics of women or whatnot, just the same as any other color of woman. But there is something about us that, no, because of what we were given from the past, we've had to find the the journey, the nooks, the areas to get through, just to be able to take care of ourselves and our children and our men. We've always been at the forefront of what that was. And so it doesn't matter the careers or the positioning that you saw the females in the Porter in. We all have a thread of we are going to be the ones that get through, that survive, and be able to tell our own story. That's the strength that you see. Doesn't it, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
The same thing with the men. They have their strength also. One of the things that I noticed though too was the emotional part from when the characters, when all the gentlemen are leaving home and they're dressed in their uniforms and everybody looks up to them. But when they get to the train station, it's a whole different story. Can you talk about what it's like for you as an actor to play these roles and knowing, and like I said, I'm a person of color, knowing that in some way, shape, or form, I know I've had to deal with that even in today's standards. You as an actor playing that role and knowing that in some way, shape, or form, you yourself have had to deal in things like this.
Mhm.
So I think that for sure, I've grown up in this business since I was 6 years old, and I went to stage school. And in that, we were taught to have many different faces, right? And I think so. A lot of people, a lot of Black people throughout history and time, have had to show these multiple versions of themselves, these fragmented versions of themselves, who they are at home, who they are in a workspace, and who they are in a workspace when there are Black people there. And I personally have given up that dance in my life. I'm pretty consistent. I am who I am when I am, always. And so that's been a journey for me, and a journey perpetuated by life. And what I found is that this presentation of your white self, or what you think is appropriate amongst white people, can still scold you. And so at the same time, it's actually just better to be your authentic self, live within the remits of that. And when you do that, you live and die by who you are, and not who someone says or who you think someone thinks you should be. And I think that's what Junior's come to. When he gets to a particular time in the death of Henry, that's when he says, do you know what? Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go out being who I am, and I'm going to provide for my family, whatever the case. And even in playing this character of the porter, even in playing this character of the porter, he is he's broken. And even a kid, Henry, who was the best version of that character, wasn't looked after, you know? So I think it is, the porter is so current, especially with the last couple of years of the kind of amplifying of the Black Lives Matter movement, and now how it's kind of like, is it dying down? Is it not? The porter is extremely current in us, one, taking up space, but also saying, this is who we are, period, and holding people accountable for their oppression of us and who they think we should be. Because that's a lot of, I think the white customers, some of them, and the bosses on the train really, they really show a modern day example of that thing. It's just become a bit more nuanced because we live in a more nuanced society.
You guys drop in little bits of history in your conversations, like talking about the riots and things. Can you talk about that? Because I think it's very powerful. If people are listening, it might make them think, okay, what are they talking about? Let me go look this up.
Well, I think it's, a way to include the audience into, the time period, and without being preachy, help them to get to know the history and what Black people during that time were experiencing. I think that it's boring if it's just sort of like told to the audience. I think it just is naturally a part of the world. And I think the show does a really great job of allowing the characters to fully live and breathe in that world, and the audience can just observe.
And I think we definitely get a chance to do that. Lauren, one of the things I found also interesting too, and something that seems to still be going on today, which I think is crazy. We still have this struggle with color amongst ourselves, light skin and dark skin. And that seemed to be something that really was, again, a struggle back then. And I said, we still have this struggle now.
We definitely do. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing that I played a character from so long ago, and here we are literally 100 years later. And that's still something in the Black community that we really paint over, that we don't fully address. When we address all of our problems, we always kind of miss out on that one. I feel like this year I've seen it talked about the most, and I'm honored to play a character that has that painted in her storyline.
Yeah, it hit me in so many different ways. So you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you, Ruby.